Good evening, everyone. Welcome down to the...
Believe it, I think we 100% understand what needs to be done and what will help us get better. And then it's about execution of all of those things. One interesting thing that you probably won't be aware of, we did loads of studies on the back end of last season on, what it takes to get promoted out of this division. Not having a naive approach to say we're going to do X and X will get us promoted because we're Sunderland. Actually looking at the physical performance of the players, the physical performance of the teams, to understand what the thresholds are that you need to be able to do to be able to get promoted. And that encapsulates a number of teams that play different styles. But what are the common denominators, what are the things you see season after season? And we've done a huge study into that. Again, that's part of that work, answering the gentleman's question over there, to try to ensure that Regis has got all the information he needs to make the right decisions in the season.
Thanks, Kristjaan. Chap here's got a question for you.
First of all, Regis, I, including everyone else in this room, wishes you the best of luck and the best of success in this role. We hope you do very well. What question is to Kristjaan. You mentioned that the strikers a hard position to recruit for, yet in the media here there's rumours that a certain Welsh international that we were linked with last year when the called Ipswich is when you look at the Hull, Kiefer Miller, and I think in fairness we're crying out for someone like that, like a big brute lad who's defender's nightmare, and not where the back of the net is ultimately, which is what we're crying out for. My second question as well, if obviously if that's okay, is that
You've got the mic, so go for it.
And we're invested in Regis as well, which you've been very well known, but you mentioned in his press conference that there's interviews for his backroom staff. Why not just allow him to bring his own tried and trusted backroom staff?
Okay, so the first question was around centre forward. We have to get the best profile to meet the game model, and in a centre forward, you obviously, like any position, you need a 1, a 2, and maybe a 3. So you need that player who can come off the bench. You need the rotation, and we've looked at lots of different profiles. What we've got to do is we've got to find the right one that's available and viable for us. And yeah, look, I think there'll definitely be names that will be out there, and there's obviously always levels of complexity and levels of finance and value and all the rest of the details that go on. And we will try to make sure we get the right one that enables you to watch a team that's staying and away from home, that gives us the results and the performances. That's what we can hopefully guarantee. But it is difficult to find. I do understand that we can't turn up at every fans forum and just go, guys, difficult to find. See you at the next fans forum. I appreciate that, and there's loads of work going on in the background to try to do that. And we've tried some different things, and some of those things haven't worked. Some of those things have worked. And you have to accept that when things go well, you're going to get the credit, and when things don't go so well in our types of position, then you're getting all the criticism, and we're fine with that. In terms of the backroom staff piece, I think that's just slightly more complex, and there's a lot of assumptions being made. When Regis joined us, Regis could have got whoever he wanted. So we need to be really, really clear on that, around it fitting what we're trying to do. I think there's 1 or 2 really, really high-profile coaches out there that have travelled on their own, and they've travelled on their own, I think, for a similar reason for Regis. He can add his context to this, which is he wants to find the best person for that assistant role for the context of Sunderland. And it doesn't necessarily mean just bringing someone that might look on the outside like, oh, we brought somebody. Regis is really committed to the fact that needs to work for him in this environment. And that's why he's been looking at different profiles. And like I said, let's be really clear as well, which I think we tried to cover off in previous interviews. That choice is Regis' choice. We're here to support him, and then he gets to support that. Like I said, hopefully we'll have news on that and come in a week, maybe, I'm not sure.
It could be very comfortable to work with people I know. before. But I thought that, as Kristjaan said just before, I want to connect with Sunderland. I want to connect with the English football, with the Championship. And first of all, I need to understand how it works. I studied many videos, of course, many matches, many games, to understand the players, the teams, how they struggled last season, but how they play well also, some games. And now, because we believe in the development, we believe in the becoming a better player, better teams, we need to build this environment, this atmosphere in the training center. So it's not easy to recruit this kind of people. So we need time, and I believe we will succeed. And about the question just before, the team is very young, but last season they gained one more season of experience. So I think it's important for the following steps. But also with this kind of player like.
Just on the back of the last question that was mentioned around coaching and such, it seems like obviously the age of the squad is very young. We've got a head coach now, Regis, welcome by the way, largely in the experience of youth development, yourself at Birmingham Youth Development, Ike Dodd's youth development at Birmingham also. I just wonder, how do you strike the balance of having a developmental team but also having first team expectations from the fans? So obviously the fans want first team, ready-made, ready to go, but we've also got very much a development kind of in training squad at the moment. How do you balance the expectations versus the reality?
No, I get your question. I don't agree with all of those points. I think ultimately Regis' background is a player development, people development, and I think regardless of the age of the player, we want the players at the football club, we want to get better and we want to be coached, and ultimately the players that Regis works with need to have the motivation to want to get better and develop, otherwise we're never going to be able to formulate a team that can work out how to beat all these varied opponents on a Saturday or a Sunday. So there's definitely a development coaching ethos in the club. We are a coaching development club, definitely. But I also think that there's a large number of our players are performance-ready players. You know, so we can definitely say they might be at the younger end of it, but they've got some incredible experiences. You know, they're starting to rack up some significant appearances across, you know, 09s, Ballards, Humes, Neils, you know, even
There's a sparkling water arriving at you.
in defence, it wasn't that gentleman who promised it, so they're starting on to get upset on the way up. So I do think there's a real key performance strand there, and underneath that there's a willingness and a desire to want to improve the players for this Saturday to play the game, and an overall desire that we want to keep improving and developing. And what I will say is that when I first came to the club, the first batch of players that I spoke to in the changing room, one of the things I said to them was that we want players who want to get better. And the one player that resonated more with any other player in that dressing room was Brad Ledbetter. He's the oldest player there. Oh. And that's how you stay at the level for as long, because you've got a curiosity to get better, a desire to keep improving. And he was at 34 in our changing room at the time, one of the primary instigators of like, I want this team to get promoted and I want to move forward. So we'll keep working at that, and hopefully we can keep meeting the performance requirements that you guys want on the pitch.
Right, we're on your left-hand side now in the middle. We have a question for this.
Hi, this is for Kristjaan. Back in February, it was announced that we were taking a pre-season tour around like the Alicante region. And yeah, we're going in the Alicante region, but it was hinted at that it would be around the Benidorm area. And yet we find out now that we're a good hour and a half away from there. And a lot of people have bung up around there. And also the club says in the hospitality package that we put on transportation for fans. And we've since learned this week that it's not happening. You know what I mean? What's going on here with the club?
Is he serious? Is that serious, is he?
You would probably say that you don't look after that particular department, just to help them out a little bit.
Yeah, no, look, I don't.
Yeah. The club announced it, I agree, the club announced it, but as official spokesman, Kristjaan, of the football club on that stage, could the detailing maybe been a little bit
I
better?
honestly don't know why Regis cancelled it. I don't know why. Not sure. And look, in all seriousness, I think I don't know all the details on that. I have to be honest, and I would never stand up here and give you information that was false and I couldn't back up. So I don't know all the details. I think there's obviously been some miscommunication early on around the location because, we are, if someone asked me where we were going, I'd probably say we're going to Alicante. I know we're not in Alicante, but I probably don't know how far. The comms has obviously not been on point with that. And I think whenever we've not quite got something right, we've tried to be honest about that. And I think the guys proposed some coach journeys, which then I'm not sure how well taken up they were, which then obviously fell away. And look, hopefully we can get as many supporters there as possible. I appreciate if you're in Alicante, having a good time with your friends and your family, and the game's about an hour away, is it, something like that? That's going to make it more difficult, definitely. And all we can do is take the feedback on board, try to make sure that those small details are not overlooked or not miscommunicated, because like I said, the impact on the ripple is obviously quite big. And I appreciate your point. I think you want to make it as easy as possible. And the strange thing with that is we obviously went to America, the other side of the world last year, and the whole concept this year was to get back to Europe with a destination that people could go to that they want to go to, and they could make more of the week than just going to the game. And unfortunately, like you said, maybe that's not going to land exactly where you want it. And all we can do as a club is apologise if that's been miscommunicated in any shape or form.
Okay, thanks, Kristjaan. We have a question over here, and then we'll have to check the time. Here we go, sir.
Any questions for Reggie? Bonsoir. I'm predominantly obviously looking forward to Saturday with South Shields and Gateshead, but also I think the club very proud and the fans that an academy product is absolutely smashing it over in Germany with Jordan Pickford. But I'd like to ask. So the question for Reggie is on Sunday night when we play Spain. What's that French referee like?
Who is the referee? Exactly.
He's French, so you're the French representative here.
Le Texier on the second one has a huge knowledge of this league. He can help the young players to understand the rules, to understand the details to win. And so it's a good idea, I think, to help our young players.
Thanks, guys. I'm at the back over here. We have a question from this gentleman.
Hi there. First of all, Regis, welcome to the club. Just wanted to say that. Question for Kristjaan. Don't go.
It's about the striker.
Oh God. He's looking for a striker. Oh God.
My question is, there's been a lot of talk obviously the last few years about the model that the club now follows, where we identify young players, bring them in, develop them. I suppose we haven't seen the next stage of the model yet, where ultimately one or several of those players will be sold, hopefully for a profit, and then to see that money reinvested. You've also spoke about the importance of ensuring we retain our best players in order to get back to the Premiership. But I suppose where's the balance in that? That, we do have to ultimately at some point sell players to reinvest to improve the team as a whole, but you don't want to lose too many. Where do you find the balance? We've read recently Crystal Palace want to pay 20 million for Joel. Jack Clark was going to Burnley last year. Where do you say no, and when does that no become maybe we need to add that?
Thank you. We meant to say at the start, anyone that used the word model needs to be escorted off the premises.
You started it. You started 4 years ago. No one even knew what the word meant around here before you came.
We'll give him a pass because it ain't warning before it but I think, making tongue-in-cheek joke about it, I think look, ultimately, you've got to have a strategy and a plan. You've got to have some sort of understanding about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And yeah, I think we used that word early on, which we haven't, because obviously it's been recited numerous times. And it ultimately needs to be a well-run business, because one of our ambition is to be a sustainable football club. We can't go through these trends of boom and bust. You don't want that as a fan. And I think we've spoken about it on several occasions. Sunderland has to keep growing and gaining momentum and getting back to where it needs to go. It doesn't need to be at the top end of the table, the bottom end of the table. But there's a couple of things. I think, look, the first thing is around the intent. Is the intent to produce a player, to sell the player? No. The intent is to find, develop, coach up players to give us the strongest team and the best chance of getting the highest league position, which ultimately we want to obviously be moving out this division. That's the primary. The byproduct of doing that really, really well is you develop a team which has got saleable assets that if you feel that you want to trade a player out to maybe trade a couple of players in, you've got that option maybe. And ultimately that helps the sustainability of the football club as you move forward, because you can hopefully trade your way up and be in a stronger position. Look, I'm with the rest of the team back at AOL. We're immensely proud of the work that's gone on there from 4 years ago, where the assets in the football club were probably closer to zero, and now they're probably closer to 100 million. So that's a fantastic foot, and everyone in this room should be really, really proud of the work that's gone on there. So moving forward, you then get into some technicalities. The intention is not just to sell players for no reason. The technicalities are the timing and the player's journey and the club's journey. Sometimes the club moves faster than the player. You might have some examples in your head, I won't mention it, where the player does really well in League One, but we go to the Championship and maybe that's a little bit too far for that player. Ultimately, we might miss out on getting promoted, and that player is ready to go and play in the Premier League and actually wants to go and play. And it's around those timing elements. And as you quite rightly said, we've had lots of opportunity to sell players and we've chosen not to. So hopefully that should give everyone in the room some real confidence. But we shouldn't also panic when a player does eventually move. And as long as we understand that by sticking to our principles, sticking to our strategy, we can keep moving forward and we can keep developing and producing good teams for you guys to come and watch. And as any astute spectator will know, if you look around the league, there's a lot of clubs selling their best players, and we've been one of the teams that hasn't done that. So look, we're in a really good spot, and I've always said at every support forum I've been to, I can't guarantee we won't sell a player. You never know where the market will go and what decision needs to be taken on whatever day. And all I'd say to you is we think we're really well placed to make the right decision.
Right, Kristjaan, I'm over here next to the bar. You can't see us, Regis. Do you want a pint while I'm over here? Red wine, Regis, perhaps?
No, but Regis wants his sparkling water. He was promised 5 minutes before he came in.
All right, someone sort that for Regis. Come over here, please, just so we get the signal on the microphone.
They want to come back, and the preparation they've put in, and the boys have been really, really good, and we've been really, really pleased with them in the first 2 weeks.
So none of them have been out on the pints then, and they've been through. I'm sure they've been enjoying themselves, and look, rightly so they should do. There's the season is the season. It ebbs and flows. There's a lot of work, a lot of travel, a lot of missed opportunities for them to see their friends and do things. So I think it's only right they do that with the right balance. But we've not got to the point where we can get a camera on them 24/7. So we're sure. Yeah. What about some of those long-term injuries? And there was a couple of injuries which hung over from the end of last season as well. How so Jensen, Seal, Dan Neil, people like that?
Yeah, so Jensen and Niall obviously got the 2 long-term injuries. They're both progressing really well, which is obviously pleasing, but they're still obviously a considerable way from getting back in around the team. But I think for them it's also nice to come back into the team environment there. It's a very isolated program they have. But then in terms of the returnees with injuries, you might have to prompt me, but Dan Neil returned fine. He had that ankle injury.
Yeah.
Was there another one or missed one?
Anyone else? Dennis Serkin, how's Dennis getting on?
Serkin, yeah. Serkin and Aji both returned. They're in great condition, trained. I don't think they've even missed a session. So Embo, fully training. Yeah. He's back.
Good. What's the ambition next season, Kristjaan, then for Regis to achieve?
What a loaded question. I said he was a nice guy, but he's throwing these questions around.
Well, you know what the ambition is from everyone in the room? Promotion, right?
Yeah.
Easy. Sort it out.
What he said?
Easy, sorted out.
Yeah, just gonna get a couple more players in and that'll be me off. I'll just leave it Regis. No, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. And look, the ambition is always we need to try to work to get this club back in the Premier League and to have Premier League games for all these supporters to come. You know, it's well documented. You know, I don't think we just actually thought I was telling the truth when I said like we're going to the shop. You know, there's 300 fans outside queuing, and I, you know, maybe thought misheard my fast English, but you know, all day there's 300 people outside the shop trying to buy a new shirt. You know, we have whatever number of season card holders, the highest in the league, so we understand what the ambition collectively is. The expectation is we're able to finish much higher in the league and give us a chance of being able to do that. And we have to try to get expectation and ambition as close as possible. So we appreciate there's a lack of patience, the general lack of patience because we all want to get there. We've just got to get there together, united, on and off the pitch. And hopefully, like I said, these events obviously show, the desire for the football club and obviously the football club to do as well. So we want to try to move it forward as quickly as possible.
Yeah, okay then. I think at this point, we'll open it up to the floor. Now I've got to do a kind of Kilroy role here with my mic. So you guys, if anyone's got a question, stick your hand up for these chaps on stage. Has anyone got a question? I'll come over and see this young man over here. Have a think over here. This is all being filmed, so I was going to say that at the start. This is all being filmed. I hope everyone's alright about that. Okay, we've got a question there.
Thanks very much. Can I first of all say, Regis, that when we found out that you had been appointed, it was like a cloud being lifted from the club. Can I say that every Sunderland supporter hopes you are the most successful manager, stroke coach. My question is that you have a history of bringing on young players. Can I ask, have you identified any young players who weren't regulars in the first team this year that might be on the verge of breaking through?
Yes, I worked a long time with the youth academy and believe in the development. And I like the young players when they have the commitment, the willingness to improve and to understand the game. And when these two ideas are linked, I can work very well with them. And what I discovered since for 2 weeks now, I feel this interest in the team. But we need experience, so the games we will play during the pre-season will be very interesting to understand.
Position to find, and it's very easy to say a goal-scoring player to play at this level. It's much harder to find one, and like I said, you can see that by, if you look across the club, the number of teams that are playing without what you might class as a recognised striker, or are playing with someone out of position. We definitely want to be flexible to be able to play in different ways, and we've been successful playing without a striker, but that's not the direction of travel, and researching it, and then need to try to ensure we've got the right players in the right positions in the squad.
If you wouldn't mind pass the microphone back to Regis, maybe you could tell us, Regis, what fans can expect from your team's performances next season?
I believe in the relationship inside the team, because I think, and we can talk about the striker, for example, it's a question of the link between the players. If this link is high, is good, we can create something more. And it's not about only one player or another player. It's a sort of chemistry. Is the right word?
Yes.
We can find in the team. So we need a game model, but we need also good personalities. And if we work together like that, we the fans will, I think they could feel this energy and support our work, and this is our main topic, I think.
And do you think we have quite a lot of quality that can help you achieve that already in the squad?
Yes, I think so. Before working on the recruitment, I want to know how they can work together, their qualities, maybe in different roles. In comparison with the last season or other seasons, I don't know. So the 2 weeks and pre-season is very important to get to know each other, to understand their abilities, their professional skills, and then how they can play together. And with the recruitment staff, after that knowledge, we can build maybe the better representation of what we need.
And do you already identify players with great flair quality, and will you let them express themselves on the pitch? Are you the kind of manager who likes doing that, or do you tell them to stick to a plan?
Both.
Okay.
We need a clear idea how we want to play, but the responsibility is always on the players. They need to decide, they need to solve problems, because this league is tough. There's a huge variety of oppositions, so we need a high culture and a high responsibility on the pitch.
Yeah, looking forward to getting started, I imagine, now already.
Yes.
Yeah. Kristjaan, if you wouldn't mind grabbing the mic again, we've got our first pre-season games this weekend. What will you, Regis, and the coaching staff get out of those games?
Well, first of all, it's really good to take the team out into the community, play some local games. I think they were well received last season, so I think it's really, really positive for us. I think ultimately it's the players' first opportunity and exposure to play against real opposition. We've done loads of 11v11 work. Regis has worked quite a bit on that within the training sessions. But there's nothing better than coming up against that opposition that you don't quite know, and you've got to try to work out and solve all those problems, which again, Regis has referenced. So just really excited to see the team back out on the grass. You know, it's the start of the season, and we can start to help them, and the coaching staff can start to try to help them develop them. And also we can, assess where they're at, and obviously try to make the right decisions around the composition of the group.
And how have they been, the players, since coming back to returning to work? Have they been excited to be back in the building? Is it was fun down there at the academy?
Yeah, look, I think you can always get a feel of that in terms of the condition they return. I think if you looked at the squad in general, I think we've talked about the squad coming back between 5 and 10% fitter than they did last year. So I think in terms of the close season period, they're enthused and energised by coming back. They know the standard and the level that's required keeps moving, it keeps improving. They have to keep pace with that. And look, when they're at home on their own, or they're just going in with their friends, that's what they have. Their motivation has to be the highest. It's a lot easier in the training ground when they're directed and instructed to do certain things. But you do are viable for what we're trying to do, and it's all about the timing. And fortunately for us, the timing and the compatibility worked, and we were able to get Regis in the door.
And just to give us a little bit of an insight into practicalities as well, please, Kristjaan. Is there things like work permits and existing contracts and things you have to be very aware of?
Yeah, well, naturally, Regis obviously was at Lorient at the time. We were going into the off season at the start of May with a good idea about 3 or 4 profiles that we really like, meeting that core criteria. After that, every coach is different, and they want to do the same things in different ways. But Regis he still had 3 games to go. So I think you also got to be respectful of people in their position. And I'm not sure we'd want to be taking a coach, whoever the coach would be, that'd be happy to drop their own team at 3 games notice. So part of the criteria as well is you're looking for loyalty, you're looking for certain personal qualities. And it was only after the season concluded that we were able to have that conversation. Once you get past that and you get agreement, then you have to go through this whole GBE process nowadays following Brexit. There's a points, almost a points-based system. There's a criteria on which obviously you can take any member of staff in any industry to work in England, and that takes. Well, for us it took 4 or 5 days to put that information together. Then you're waiting for the opportunity to go and present that information. That takes another several days. and then you're getting the answer back. And as I said, that just makes the whole period of time take obviously a lot longer than what you would like.
And I guess some of those things you touched on there, Kristjaan, applies to footballers as well. You've announced Alan Brown today as well as one of the new recruits. You're right in the thick of it, of recruitment season. How's that going?
Recruitment season, yeah. Feels like recruitment seasons all the time, to be fair. It's like a recruitment year. Look, it's going really well. We're really pleased that we managed to get Simon to join. We've had a little change around in terms of our goalkeeping unit, which we think is positive. Nathan Bishop did an outstanding job for us last year, and it's probably difficult to understand how important his role was because he only played one game, or one league game for us. But I think behind the scenes in terms of demanding standards and driving not just the goalkeepers and Pato, but all the outfield players as well, you need that type of character. But we also felt it was fair for him to go and get games. We need to see where he's at and what his level can be in the future. And we were really pleased to be able to get Simon in to do the same job. He has a slightly different personality, but he's still got the same infectious nature and high standards that he wants to drive training. And he also comes with some different life experiences. Nathan came with a certain set of experiences from, he played at a really big club. Simon's got some different experiences which we think can help the goalkeepers and help the other players. And obviously more recently today we managed to get Alan signed, and obviously that's fantastic news because it was a priority position for us in the squad. And we think he brings exactly what we needed in the on-field and off-field environments. And like I said, I think he'll be an exciting player for our supporters to watch. I think his style is very much in keeping with our identity.
Yeah, and he's an experienced player, over 400 appearances just for Preston North End as well. You've said to me on podcasts in the past, it's all about getting the blend right as well. Obviously, it's been well documented that we had the youngest side in the EFL in last season, I think it was. Something you're obviously proud of as a football club, but I think if Corey wasn't injured, he would have played a lot more football, obviously.
Yeah, I think we've always signed players in that range. We've had Danny Baths, Corey's, Pritchard's, Dax, and we've obviously, there's several of those names aren't with us anymore, so it's definitely to replenish that type of player. The priority has to be the standard and the level, and the compatibility with the coach to be able to play in that style of play, which we think Alan can do. Fundamentally, it's about the level of the player. After the level of the player, then you can get into the soft benefits of, are they a leader? Can they have leadership? Do they add anything in set pieces with with maybe a delivery? And then what are they bringing? And with Alan, he bringing some significant experience, not just at championship level and knowledge in the league, but also international level. And when you take the football piece and the quality piece and you add the other piece, then obviously it's a really attractive proposition for us. And delighted that we managed to get him through the door, fairly early, considering there's quite a lot of competition for it.
Is there anything else imminent you want to give us a little insight on in terms of transfers or new deals or anything like Kristjaan? We're all friends here, right? Come on.
Yeah, we're all friends. I think trying to under offer and over deliver for Regis. So I told him he's got to wait another 5 weeks, and then maybe if we can get one in early, he'll be overly surprised and happy. But we're working at it constantly. I think some of the areas on the pitch that we need are well documented. I'm sure if we did a poll tonight, I'm not going to do it, but if we did a poll tonight, I've got a suggestion on what the number one position would be. So
I heard someone having bought Kirill in the shop when we did the opening, and someone said, "You need to sign some strikers." And Kirill turned around and said, "No, we need a goal scoring striker. That's what we need." So I thought it was quite a good comeback from Kirill in that case.
No, look, I think we're all aware of that. Nobody on the football side is trying to communicate or speak any differently,
Perhaps if it's okay with you, we'll open it up to the floor to get some questions from people, supporters, because this is an ideal opportunity to update everyone, isn't it?
It's like a great opportunity. First of all, really appreciate the turnout. I'm sure Regis is really pleased to be here this evening to take some questions. Look, with this event's for the supporters, so any of the questions we'll do our best to answer. Obviously, you can appreciate there's probably one or two questions or one or two areas we can't answer, and I'll obviously just try to be polite about that, but anything else, that's what we're here for. We're here to try to give you some answers and give you some insight.
Okay then. Well, if you wouldn't mind passing the mic over to Regis, we could ask him how your first couple of weeks have gone as first team coach of Sunderland.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I try in English. I'm very proud and happy to be here in this club. With the players and with the club, the welcome is nice, really nice. And on the beach with the training, with the football, it's my passion. So I'm very happy to be on the beach every day.
You were at the shop when the home strip went on sale. You were mobbed when you first went down there. Did that give you an indication of the passion the fans have?
Yes, I can feel it immediately. It's a great energy in the stadium. The fans are incredible. I know that their expectations are high also. So we will work on it. We believe in our methodology, our way of working, but also we need your support to help the team, to help the coaching staff. I'm sure that we will have many good emotions.
And what's your first impressions been of the infrastructure, the stadium, the training ground? What's it like?
It's big. It's big. And we can work in the very good conditions, so to support the players in their development, we have everything to work. And I'm sure that this stadium can be also, we can play with 12 players on the pitch with this energy.
Would you mind just telling us a bit about your career to date? You have come from Lorient as first team coach, but you spent a lot of time in youth development football as well. Just tell us a bit about your career path, because you're also professional football too.
Yes, I played as a professional footballer for 5 years, 2 seasons at Rennes in League One and 3 seasons at Laval in second division. Then I stopped my career because I wanted to become a coach. I started with a youth team, 2 seasons with the under 15, and then I came back at Rennes as a youth coach. And I worked in this academy for 8 years with the under 19. And after I left to Lorient, I became the director of the youth academy for 10 years. I worked with the under 17 and with the reserve team also. And after 10 seasons at Lorient as a youth academy director, I became the professional, the trainer of the professional team for 2 seasons.
And did you enjoy that step up? Obviously, you made another step up coming to Sunderland. Did you always envision you'd manage in another country?
Yes, I wanted to discover another culture, another way of thinking also. So I started to learn English. It's not perfect. I'm still working on it, as you can hear. But for me, traveling is very important to discover myself as to start, but also to share with new ideas, new culture, and to grow.
Well, your English is a lot better than our French probably, but you're going to have to learn some Macam as well. Do you know what Macam is?
No.
It's the local dialect which we all speak.
Yes.
You have to get one of those Macam dictionaries, someone to help them out. Yeah. If you wouldn't mind passing the microphone to Kristjaan, if we just ask you, what is it about Regis that led you to pursue him?
Well, I think ultimately you're trying to find a match for our ambition, where we'd like to take the club, the playing identity, and then underneath that some of the things around player development and high performance. So for us, that search is searching for not just people that think the same, but it's also to get the right challenge. You know, to find somebody who sees the world in a similar way, but wants to also discuss about how to do it the best way. And we feel in Regis we've got the perfect balance between companionship in being able to put on the right games and creating the right team, but also the right challenge to make sure that we keep developing and keep evolving.
So what was the actual process like between yourself and the ownership? Was it a case of you had a short list and then you you identified Regis as one of them, and or was Regis someone you had tracked for originally?
Yeah, I think we've been well documented. We've always tried to be forward-thinking, process-orientated around the head coach position. So we've done a lot of tracking and monitoring. We first came across Regis in his first season because in his first season at Lorient, the team really overperformed and outperformed the opposition. So that naturally draws your attention to the style of play, what's the coach doing. There must be some interesting things going on, and we track that all the way through. I mean, without, I think it's well documented in the press. 2 summers ago, Regis was a hot property in the head coach market, and it would have been well above, obviously, our ability to be able to attract the coach at that point. But we followed that tracking all the way through. There's in the summer period, there's no number one. It's really, really difficult. Every day, the landscape and the context changes around